Hello and welcome to GINEXPLICABLE. My name is Sophia. I am your host today. I am feeling very silly and I want to talk about a mystery and I want to drink some gin, and guess what? That's exactly what we're going to do. So get yourself a wee beveragino and let's get into it. The gin that I am drinking today is once again, it's a Gordon's and soda, and I'm waiting for you to sponsor me. In all honesty, send me your gins, give me your money. Today we're going to be talking about, like, I don't know what it is. I want to say weather phenomenon, but obviously it's GINEXPLICABLE, so it's a million different things. But this one has got me by the balls. This one's got me right by the balls. Because, like, what is happening? So I suppose that we should just start talking about it. So everyone, most of all me, will be very pleased to know that this is a recent mystery, more recent than you might think. And I love that because, honest to God, I don't trust what those old mysteries have to say. I don't trust people from the olden days. You're wrong, you're misremembering, I didn't see it, nobody with a camera saw it, so therefore it's wrong. Right, so this one is, this one's documented, and therefore it's more credible because it's in a year that I align with. We start in 1994. I was but a twinkle and a whisper in my mother and father's eyes and wombs. This takes place in Washington State. I'm very ashamed to admit, I did think Washington and Washington State were the same place. So we learn things, we do learn things, and I'm happy that we do because I get it now. I get why Twilight was rainy, because it was on the Pacific Northwest, and so is this place, in a place called Oakville, Washington State. Basically it's rainy there. One day the rain in this state was actually very different than the rain it had been. It started to rain down big gelatinous blobs of something, and residents were like, okay, what's going on here? I say big gelatinous blobs. The blobs were about the size of a grain of rice, so I've heard in this instance. So residents are obviously like, what's going on? So someone gets in touch with a local news reporter who, as he explains it, he's having quite a slow news day, so he goes to check this shit out, but he's not expecting anything really. He's just expecting a bit of a joke report. Only when he arrives it actually starts raining again and the blobs start coming down again. So this, I want y'all to remember, this is not an isolated incident. In fact, it happened over 5 times in about 3 weeks in the Oakville area. What is happening? The reporter's a bit like, okay. He actually gets in touch with the police. It's like, tell me. The police don't tell him anything. He gets in touch with the local airbase. The airbase are like, nah, we've not done anything. People just sort of accept this thing. This is a very small town that this is happening in. Small town people, we just get on with shit, you know? And so that's exactly what they did. During this time period where no one's doing anything about these blobs, a few of the residents get sick. There is one woman in particular who is said to have touched the blob, and then a bit later her daughter actually found her passed out. She was suffering with severe vertigo, so she's rushed to the hospital and they diagnose her with an inner ear infection, which, okay, we can say that this is maybe a coincidence, right? Yeah, strange, she touched the blob and then she gets sick, okay, right. But then also her kitten dies. The kitten's maybe been licking the blob and then the kitten dies, and also other farm animals fall sick and die, and then other residents of the area get sick for about 3 weeks. Flu-like symptoms. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tie everything together and say that's a definite for me, but it is strange. Could this all be a coincidence? It's a small town. Everyone's shagging everyone. Everyone's up in everyone's shit. Germs spread, you know? This could have just been an isolated sickness. Weird. Very, very strange. These savvy little small town mofos decide to gather some samples of the blobs in order to have them tested. So the samples are taken. At first it comes back with there's some sort of white blood cell in it, which, whoa, hold on, what is happening? Weird. But then it's again apparently tested again, and it comes back, it's 2 different species of bacteria, and one of them is actually known to infect the human digestive system. So that's kind of strange. Now hold on to your knickers, because what I'm going to tell you blew my mind. One of the guys who's working on it comes back and these samples had gone missing. Nothing he'd ever worked on had ever gone missing before. Make of that what you will. It's inexplicable. I won't be able to rest as a citizen of Oakville, Tennessee, Washington. They get no answers. They get absolutely niche. I watched this on a Netflix documentary. One of the residents was working in an ice cream shop, and she was in the ice cream shop over the summer, and apparently, like, I'm skeptical about this story. She might be a bit of a attention seeker. Who isn't? But no, I don't know. This resident who was working in the ice cream shop, allegedly three men in black suits came in one day, not from the town, to the ice cream shop and started talking about this incident. And they started talking about the Blobs, and they were trying to get some information out of her and asking her questions and stuff, and she didn't really give them anything. And then they ordered some milkshakes and then they left. And yeah, that's also weird. If that's true, that's also very weird. If this had happened in 1994 and that was it, maybe I could have let it lie. But they've showed up again. Less than a month before I am recording this. On the 8th of April, oh my god, no, we're in June, okay, it's more. On the 8th of April in Rochester, Washington, which is 10 miles away from Oakville, similar blobs showed up. Okay, theory number one is fucking off the charts, right? Jellyfish bombing. Okay, so this ridiculous theory basically says that the military were conducting some exercises, which they were at the time, by the way, off the coast. And this town lies about 50 miles inland from the coast, so not far at all. These military folk are conducting some exercises off the coast, but these people think, okay, they're like putting bombs and stuff into the ocean, which is bombing schools of jellyfish, and then these jellyfish are getting disintegrated and then it's sucked up into the weathery spouty weather system, and then it's getting rained down on this town. I call bullshit, because no, that's not going to happen. Why would it rain on one specific town? Sorry. And also, why is that not other traces of like fish bits and like fish and like sand and all that stuff in the samples? Well, we wouldn't really know because the samples got stolen, didn't they? But yeah, no, I don't think it's bits of jellyfish. I think that is insane. The next theory we have is that an airplane dumped the waste of the toilet out on this little town. So residents had been seeing aircrafts fly up and overhead. We'll get into that in a minute. But the theory here is that these airplanes just decided to dump all the shit, not one time, but 5 times in the space of however many weeks on this small unsuspecting town. Now, I can just debunk that in 1 second, because that is fucking stupid. The FAA, of course, disputed this. I only know what the FAA is because of Nathan Fielder, and I love you. So, also, if that wasn't stupid enough, the waste from a toilet becomes blue, apparently. It's like blue ice, blue dye. Are any of these goopy bloopy blobs blue? Nah. They were translucent, G. Theory number 3, military experiment gone wrong. As I explained just a moment ago, residents were experiencing seeing aircrafts overhead a lot during this time, specifically military aircrafts, I might add. I mean, what are you doing here? Now, the young, the dumb, the naive might take a look at me and say, there's no way a government could ever do that. Okay, so to that I consult my notes, and I would like to tell you about Operation Sea Spray. In 1950, the US government decided they wanted to test how vulnerable certain places in the US would be to a chemical warfare attack. Okay, so in San Francisco, they organised this biological attack, and initially ships offshore released massive quantities of bacteria into the air. 800,000 people were exposed to this, and the public was never informed until many years later. One person actually died. Many people got sick from this bacteria. They did it. They really did it. They really did it and didn't tell. and then now they're probably doing it again. That's my ride or die. That's my theory right there. Because the stuff in the samples was known to affect human digestion, and the samples went missing. Okay, another theory is it was a biological contamination that got caught up in the rain. So I think here, I actually switched off after the military experiment because I was like, I know what happened, but I suppose I should say the rest of them. Okay, so biological contamination, I think it's talking like sewer drains, animal poos and shit that can get sucked up into the atmosphere and then deposited. To that I say, no. Okay, and then the final theory I have for you today is something called star jelly or astral jelly, which, to be honest, I would like to make a brand of certain delicious gummy treats and call it star jelly or astral jelly. It's probably already been done, hasn't it? I'm going to patent the shit out of that. All I'm going to tell you about that one is no one knows what's going on. It's a weather phenomenon. We're in a simulation. All I know about that one is it's linked to meteorites. Okay, I don't know. Star jelly has been found in many places all over the world. Since I recorded the episode, I did do a little bit more digging into star jelly. Yeah, as I say, scientists don't really know what it is. Some do think it's meteors, and I've actually read that some people think it's maybe like frog spawn or some amphibious matter shit that like swells up when water hits it. It's not common, but it's also not uncommon, which is why I put these pictures on the screen for you now, because they do look suspiciously blobby. So I think I might believe this theory now. I'm just going to go back and talk about what happened on April 8th this year in Rochester. I don't have much more to give you, but I did listen to an interview on a podcast with a girl who'd experienced it. She said the blobs that came down were clear, gelatinous, and the size of a hand, which are obviously considerably larger than the ones that happened in Oakville in '94. And they had no smell, so this girl been smelling them, there was no smell, and they melted after a while, but they were not ice. Makes you think. Really does make you think what's going on, doesn't it? Please let me know. I don't know, because maybe if it was a military experiment gone wrong, they probably won't do it again. Is this some sort of weird weather phenomenon because the Pacific Northwest? I don't know. But what I do know is I am going to get warm, I'm going to drink some more gin, and then I'm going to go to a pub quiz. Thank you so much for watching. I've never done this before, but please like, comment, and subscribe if you like it. Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay drinking gin unless you're an alcoholic. Look after yourself, and tell me anything you want me to know in the comments. Thanks for your time. It's valuable. Bye.